Hello, how are you? My name is Gaurav. I'm the founder of Far Far Away. It's an astrology website. If you are new to astrology or someone has introduced you to astrology, you might wonder what kind of questions can be answered through astrology, and that is what I'm going to help you in this video. You might also think that astrology is limited to understanding your personality based on your day of birth. You read the horoscope corresponding to your date of birth in a newspaper, you might feel astrology is all about that. But there's much more to it. There are 9 planets. The position that you read in the newspaper is for your sun sign. There are 8 other planets. There are 12 houses, there are 12 zodiac signs, and there are 27 nakshatras, constellations. That is the essence of Vedic astrology. The combination of all of this is your birth chart, and from your birth chart you can arrive at multiple conclusions about your lives. Starting from personality, some people naturally have a very social personality. They're very charming, they're very talkative. Others are more introvert, others are more maternal. Some people have natural leadership ability. All of this you can assess from your birth chart. Now, life's purpose is the other thing you can't logically find out from your chart. If there are many combinations in your chart suggesting you might live a spiritual life, you can identify that. In other cases, you might be very driven to build a name for yourself, very driven to build an identity. You might be very driven to fulfill your aspirations on a material plane. So your life's purpose can also be identified through your birth chart. Naturally, we all have this question, which career path to follow? Some people are meant to follow a career in ancient sciences, such as I. Others have a career in finance, some in medicine, some in hospitality, some in aviation. Which career path? It can be identified from your birth chart. And this is based on my experience. Whenever I'm contacted by someone for a reading, I try to identify their career. It has rarely been the case that I haven't been able to logically understand from the chart that the person has followed that career path. It is possible from the chart to identify an engineer, a lawyer, a medical researcher, a financial analyst, to a business person, a sports person. You can find all of that. Combinations linked to these professions, if they are found in your chart, you're likely to follow that career path. In a separate video, I have shared those combinations if you're interested. So with which career question, you can also identify which industry might be best suited for you and what kind of work are you going to do on a day-to-day basis. So if I identify from your chart that you could be following a career in healthcare, are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be involved on the surgical side? Or are you going to be a medical researcher? Or are you going to be involved in nursing? Your exact role can also be identified from your chart. And you can also find out from the chart if running a business is an option for you. We all have this aspiration that we should do something independently. But do you have that path? It's reminding me of a quotation from the Bhagavad Gita, which says that one must continue to follow one's path in life, even if one is going to do another job more perfectly. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you have identified a path from the chart you're meant to follow, it's much better to continue to follow that path, even if you're doing it imperfectly, than to do another person's job perfectly. So I think it's a lot about identifying what is meant for you. And that is where astrology can be very helpful. And in many cases, I also see combinations suggesting that a person might follow multiple careers in their life. They might perform multiple duties in life. Perhaps in the initial stages, they build their career in teaching, and later they start building their career in finance, and later perhaps in social service. Or a finance guy ends up becoming an astrologer. Or someone involved in marketing wants to build a career in acting. So career change possibility can also be seen from the chart. Not only that, you can also find some good times in your life if you're searching for a job for the first time. When are you most likely to get a job? With the power of dashas, you can conclude logically which are favorable times for you. And of all the different elements to Vedic astrology, the dashas have been the most fascinating for me, because the dashas have never betrayed me. I've always been able to logically understand why a certain life event is taking place based on the dasha. So when is the best time to look for a new opportunity? When are you likely to get promoted? And when could be a good time to take a chance in your career? Sometimes we have this mindset that we no longer want to continue doing what we are currently doing. So what we do at that stage, we quit our job and we try to figure things out. Through astrology, you can predict if that time you are in is a good time to take that kind of chance. In some cases, you might even want to move to a different city or even to a different country for better opportunities. Is that a good time? Is it naturally going to be part of your life? You can identify that through the dashas. So if you're very young and you're planning to study, or if you are already working and you're planning to go for your master's or a PhD, you can answer those questions also. What kind of a learning program might be better suited for you? What should you study firstly? And whether it should be a full-time program or a part-time program, or in some cases you want to build your career in research. And when would be the best time to study? Now, love affairs is always very complicated, but also very exciting. When are you going to stumble upon someone who you may find interesting, or someone may find you interesting and you might be in a love affair? When can that happen? It's a lot to do with the position of the fifth house in the main and the Navamsha. So you can logically conclude from the dashas when could that happen, and what kind of love affairs are you going to have in life, whether they're going to be short-term relationships. So if the position of Mars and Rahu is found in the fifth house, there's every possibility of you being dissatisfied from a relationship quickly. You may not have the stamina to go through the compromises one needs to make in a relationship. And in another case, if Saturn is found in the fifth house, you might be a bit more willing to put in the effort. And in that scenario, you might only be involved either in long-term relationships, or you may not be in a relationship at all for a very long time. So if the time has come for you to think about getting settled and you want to know when can you get married, I have posted a separate video on how to do so. You can answer the question through astrology. Who is going to be your partner? What the character would be like of the person, of your life partner, what professional background, what physical traits, including if the person is going to be foreign to you in terms of culture or place of origin, and if there's going to be a significant age gap. Now, astrology is not limited to identifying only the good times. You can also identify the not so nice times. If you're having issues at work, whether it's to do with too much work pressure or issues with authority figures or workplace, to the job being less enjoyable, or you're having issues in your relationship or marriage, you can identify those times. And the good thing is you can identify when those bad times are going to come to an end. This has been extremely helpful in my case. I have been going through my chart for more than 10 years. Naturally, my life has gone through ups and downs. So whenever I'm going through a bad time, I rely on astrology. I know when things can become a bit better. And that has been my personal experience that things have improved. So this gives me a time window of remaining strong. You know, sometimes when we're going through a bad time, we start to think things are never going to improve, and that is where we get depressed. But if you know this is simply a cycle of life and you'll overcome this, perhaps you can recover a bit better. This is where astrology can be very helpful. Issues linked to health, if you're having some health related issue and you're going through a difficult dasha, at least you'll know when you could recover and when you can overcome the anxiety you're feeling regarding your health. Now, when you are about to date someone, it's always a good idea to match birth charts, and I highly recommend you do so, because this is one of the most important decisions and astrology can be helpful. So the first thing you can see from the charts, the two of you, you and your partner, are you compatible? And that compatibility test can be on the basis of your moon constellations and based on synastry, where you combine the two charts. A free compatibility calculator is on the website Far Far Away if you're interested. But beyond that, you must also identify if the time of marriage is common. Whenever I'm contacted by individuals to match their charts, I always look at this aspect very closely, because life journey should match. If one person is going through a time phase where the probability of marriage in the next 12 months is high, but the other person has various combinations of late marriage and may marry significantly later, then it's immediately a sign of mismatch. So you can identify that. You can also see if the profiles match. If your chart is suggesting you're likely to be with a medical researcher, but your partner is involved in hospitality, then there can be a bit of a mismatch. You can do the other way around. You can test your partner's chart to see if the profile of your partner's partner matches you or not. Naturally, love should be the main driving force behind your relationship. If astrology can be helpful in helping you make this very important decision, then why not? You can also identify common difficult times, particularly to do with marriage. We are all going to go through cycles in life. It's never going to be smooth sailing. So if you've identified in your chart that you might go through a difficult time from a marriage point of view between 27 to 29, and the person you're dating is also going to go through a very difficult time around the same time, then that is a sign of a mismatch. Then both of you can complicate your life at that stage. I know you can't tick every box, but you can try to tick most of these boxes, and if you can analyze your chart from various aspects, then why not? And the other question I get asked very regularly, if there's a possibility of the two people involved in a relationship to start a family, and when can that happen? The other question you can answer through astrology, and a very exciting one, is should you relocate to a foreign country? The world has become a bit more global now, and people are working remotely, and so the option of settling down in a foreign country has become more practical. Do you have combinations that you might build your life elsewhere? You can see that through astrology. Where could you have your life? That also can be logically concluded through astrocartography. And when should you actually physically move to another place? You can answer that question. The other questions you can answer through astrology is what kind of a relationship you're going to have with your parents and your siblings. So these are 37 questions in my view. These are main questions we all have at a certain stage in our life, which we can answer through astrology. So my intention was to simply highlight how astrology can be useful, and I hopefully have done that. Until next time, hope this video was useful. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.